Welcome to PwC Pulse, a podcast to provide insights to help you solve today's business challenges.
Hi, I'm Yolanda Seals-Coffield, PwC's Chief People Officer. For today's episode of our PwC Pulse podcast, I'm excited to welcome Ofori Egboka, Vice President of People Experience and Technology for Global Operations at Amazon. He joined the company in April 2020 at the height of the pandemic and is responsible for the workplace experience of employees across multiple divisions, including fulfillment, transportation, and workplace health and safety. Today, we'll talk about how companies are tailoring benefits and development programs for different types of workers and technology's role in that process. We'll also explore ways to personalize career journeys. Ofori, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Yolanda. It's a pleasure being here.
So, Ofori, before we get going, we'd like to dive in by helping our listeners get to know you a little bit better. And we're going to do that with a few rapid-fire questions.
All right.
Okay? So what song today, and I have to preface it with today, because I know we all have a lot of songs in our portfolio. What song today is energizing and inspiring you?
So I have to say today it's I Go to Work. Kool Moe Dee. I'm here in New York. It's the 50th anniversary of hip hop, and I go to work. You and I, we understand in HR, all things are possible. Let's do it.
Oh, I love that one. That's a good one. I have to say, these days has been anything Beyonce for me.
Okay.
So I was listening to Energy this morning, and I was like, all right, we're going to be good. We're going to have a good day. All right. What's your favorite city in the world to visit?
Favorite city? I've lived abroad and lived a lot of places in the United States, but I still love going back to New Orleans. My mother's from New Orleans. She's a New Orleans native, went to Grambling, met my dad at Michigan State, and maybe it's the story of them coming together, my dad coming from abroad and from Ghana, West Africa, but we always came back to New Orleans.
And what quote or saying motivates you?
It's quotes from Dr. Maya Angelou. People may not remember what you said, people may not remember what you did, but they always remember how you made them feel. So that's very powerful and very important to me.
What's so crazy is I'm finding so many different connection points with you. So you won't believe this, but literally that quote is over my desk at home. Because I do think, particularly in the human capital space, I want to never forget that how we make people feel, that people experience,
that's right,
is what matters more than anything else.
Exactly.
So that's fantastic because it kind of gets us into the topic of today.
That's right.
So let's talk about Amazon. So many of us think about Amazon every day, but I don't think we think enough about the people who make that organization work every single day. And you get the pleasure of waking up every day thinking about how so many of those people enjoy their experience. So tell me what attracted you to your role at Amazon.
Not only is it a pleasure, but it's a privilege and an awesome opportunity. I've been with Amazon 3.5 years, and I came to Amazon after 24 years in the automotive industry. My career started in employee relations, operations, and then ultimately in HR. I worked domestically in Texas, Virginia, Michigan, and then internationally in China, Switzerland, multiple responsibilities. But what drew me to Amazon was that opportunity to continue to grow and create jobs and employment opportunities in the lives of people and their families and their communities. For us to deliver on the customer promise, which we are honored to serve you as a customer and those packages coming, investing in our people to make sure they're engaged and know the value that they bring, but also invest in them so they know the value that they have in themselves. So it's just a wonderful opportunity.
I want to talk about the varied workforce that you have, because when we look at some of our data, and one of our recent surveys shows us that 90% of CHROs are thinking every day about how to personalize benefits and development opportunities for different types of workers.
Yes.
And you talked a bit about that. You manage a workforce of very different workers. How do you all go around thinking about that? Because your title acknowledges that intersection between the workforce experience and technology, which is so key because we know that how we go about creating development opportunities and benefit opportunities inherently involves ensuring that we're dealing with specialized skills and leveraging technology in a different way. So how does Amazon find unique ways of developing talent, especially across so many different workforces?
Yeah, it's very important. So we have everything from supply chain to tech, employee relations, engineering, delivery, fulfillment, transportation, air, workplace health and safety. So we've got a wide variety. And with that, we recruit from many different backgrounds and workforces. And also, particularly during the pandemic, we brought in people who joined Amazon for a whole host of reasons. Maybe they were furloughed, maybe they were laid off. But we have veterans, we have people who have high academic prowess, people who just got out of high school, people who may have not finished their high school diploma. We have programs such as Welcome Door, where we welcome refugees, where we people who don't speak English. So That variety is huge. So we have our leadership workforce. As you know, leadership is a privilege and responsibility. So with that, to develop them, we want to make sure their onboarding is right. We want to make sure the developmental course and action as they assimilate and move up the ranks is right. But in particular, if I start in with our leadership, we have a thing called Leadership Liftoff for our frontline leaders. That is a 7-week program to make sure it's classroom learning, it's tech learning, it's functional technical skills learning, it's e-based learning, but a lot of experiential learning where they go into the workplace and we have it segmented that we want to make sure they have a strong start because they're leading people, right? That privilege is very important. So we want to make sure they feel secure and understand our leadership principles and what it means to be a leader and what we expect out of safety, people, cost, responsibility, organizational efficiency, et cetera. And then we have leadership programs that also touch leaders that are more senior level, our leadership pipeline, things like that. But then with our other workforce, our associate workforce, and this is the workforce that's in our fulfillment centers that is taking our orders and putting it in the boxes and putting it in the delivery van and getting a delivery van and getting it over to our DSP partners to, again, deliver that promise to you. That workforce, again, we believe in a strong start for them as well. The pandemic didn't allow us to do things that we aren't able to do now. The face-to-face onboarding, that is so important. We call that program Behind the Smile, where we bring people in and, again, we're helping them understand our safety metrics, our safety process, and how they own safety as much as leadership owns safety, understanding their role in the different programs and the jobs that they will take on. But part of that onboarding is helping them understand what benefits we offer them and understanding because their health and well-being is so important to the enterprise. We want them to bring their whole self in. So with those benefits, we have day one benefits, full health care, vision, dental, the same benefits that I have as a vice president, our associate workforce has from day one, no probation period. So in addition to the health care, we talk about the development opportunities they have for their, what we call career choice opportunity programs. Career choice has opportunities to help you get, again, English as a second language. If you don't have a high school diploma, help you get your GED. We want to help you get your degree. And with that, we have programs that allow people to get into tech fields, coding, robotics, because again, that workforce is a pipeline to our leadership workforce. Because again, we have people who've come in with a variety of experiences, but we want to meet people where they are, whether it's your education level, it's a linguistic level, your health and well-being level. We want to help you rise because we have a leadership principle that's called Strive to be Earth's Best Employer. And when you get into the details, it talks about leading with empathy, being an inclusive work environment, a safe performing environment, but helping people have fun and grow, whether their career is inside Amazon or out. So I got to calm down because I get charged about our leadership principles.
I love it. I'm seeing so many incredible synergies with our people strategy. So PwC in the past 2 years has launched a really transformative strategy that we call My Plus. And what I'm hearing you say is that so much of it is consistent with what we're doing, which is thinking about leadership at every level in the organization. So our people strategy called My Plus focuses on 4 key elements. It focuses on well-being, because we have to start with treating people well and making sure that they have the flexibility that they need for the different seasons of their lives. It focuses on benefits because, to your point, creating those customized benefit experiences that meet people when they need them and gives them the right benefits that they need as their lives changes are so important. The third element is development. We've been on this leadership development journey, and a big part of our message is, regardless of where you sit in our organization, you are a leader. You lead yourself, you lead your team, you lead your clients. And then the fourth piece is life after PwC, which really connects with what you said, which is we're going to give you great skills. And whether you keep those skills here or you leave with those skills are going to be important for how you grow and develop. And one of the things that's been really important for us to think about, and I know it's something that you're thinking about, is the role that technology starts to play in all of this. So we've talked about our My Plus journey as both a digital and a cultural transformation. And again, technology is a core part of your role. And so let's talk about the role that technology has played in Amazon in terms of creating these really customized or personalized experiences.
It's all about the people, create the right experiences, but use technology to make it better, make it more efficient, make it more just delightful, surprise and delight. So with technology, similar to what you have, what you call, you said My Plus, we call it My HR. So My HR is almost like a one-stop shop where you get answers quickly from a handheld device, from your computer, laptop, to answer questions, solve and submit suggestions, learn about your comp and benefits, and something that's available to you 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, in over 16 different languages. That speed, and that matters to a person who has a life experience and they need to know something now. And then from the macro, when we look at technology, we always want to make it efficient. We want to make their lives better every day. and we want to keep learning from it. Is it simple? We have a leadership principle called Invent and Simplify. Is it simple? Is it working? Because tech just for tech's sake is not good. Tech has to work. And then ultimately, if it doesn't work and we find a way to make it better, we haven't relieved the pain point, we still never lose sight of where's a person that they can talk to? Who can they speak to take them through this next step? But that is so important. That My HR app, as an example, touches our entire workforce globally. But again, the macro piece is use it to make it better, got to get it right. And when it's too complex, make sure there's a person there to support them. And we need this technology because of the scale. We can learn from opportunities that people have presented to us, solve it, scale it, repeat it, scale it, and improve it every day. We get excited about that. Another example we have is A to Z. A to Z is a tool that we have that takes a whole host of our Amazon total benefits and network and learnings and what our company is about and what we're doing. So people who need information and want to learn, go to A to Z. It's right there. It's right there at their fingertips or at a computer kiosk. Because again, we want to make sure we're inclusive of everyone because everybody doesn't have a phone. Everybody doesn't read English. Everybody doesn't see. We have people with disabilities that we want to make sure they feel included and they also have access to information and the proper support they need. So we constantly looking at how do we make it better, but technology is critical.
I love the tech-enabled solution that is going to be inclusive from the start and
That's
sort of
right.
building it with inclusion in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to talk about tech without talking about Gen AI.
Right.
Gen AI is here. When I talk to CHROs across the country, so many of us are thinking about how are we going to leverage Gen AI? What role does the human capital team play in driving the ethical use of AI, the appropriate use of AI? But then just as importantly, and what makes me really excited is what is the role of HR in Gen AI? What is the role of Gen AI to enable the human capital work?
Right.
And I'm really excited about that. And I have to imagine that you all are thinking about that. So tell me a bit about how you're thinking about Gen AI, what you think the art of the possible will be as you look ahead in Amazon.
We're excited about it. We understand that there are limitations. With that, there's a couple things that we have to be diligent with. And I'm sure it's like you pointed out, it's lawful, it's relevant, it's relative to the countries and regions that we're dealing with, it's inclusive, and be very intentional about its capabilities and basically limitations that it has. It won't solve everything, but it has solved a lot and it can help us. It's already proven that it's helped us. It's already been a part of our lives anyway, but it's how do you continue to take that journey to continue to make the life and the work experiences better? From an employee standpoint, what we've seen is resume writing, to capture your body of work, to really share your story. Again, when we talk about our leadership principle, whether your career be inside or outside of Amazon, how do we maximize your potential in capturing your body of work? How do we help you better utilize your time? We're a data-driven company, right? Summarizing information and trying to get to an outcome. What we used to do in weeks or in hours, now you can do in minutes. It's freeing you up to have more time for thought leadership, more time for personal one-to-one engagement or group engagement to have dialogue, to learn from that data. And then from our leadership standpoint, it's helping us, again, dissect data, analyze information much faster, provide us greater insights in the areas that we need to double down and focus on, improve the employee experience. It's helping us with recruiting. It's helping us with identifying talent. It's helping us just move faster, but move faster appropriately. So we are cautiously optimistic. Again, we're aware of the things that people are hesitant on, but we will continue to be responsible with it, just like we've done with every other technology. So we will be responsible, but we're excited and we're looking forward to, in some ways, maybe possibly leading in the journey, but learning from others as well.
We're in a very similar place. One of the things that I'm really excited about is we've promised our 75,000 people across PwC that we're going to take them on this Gen AI journey with us. So our commitment to our people is we are not going to leave any of you behind.
Nice.
We're all going to have a basic understanding around what Gen AI is, how it works, how to use it ethically, and how we use it to enable our own jobs. And then some of us will go deeper and we'll think about what the use cases are. We have a Gen AI factory that's working every day to build some of the use cases. So as my team is thinking about how do we use Gen AI in the recruiting process? How do we use Gen AI in learning and development to create new learning tools for people? We have a team of people who are working furiously to help us bring that to life and then to help some of our clients transform as well. I think it will be an incredible tool to enable work.
Yes.
We're always going to need human beings. We're always going to need independent judgment. We're always going to need people who are making the right decisions. And in our world, we are human-led and tech-powered. Technology enables the work we do. It doesn't replace the work that we do. So I'm really excited about what's to come, and I'm excited to see what Amazon does in this place. Let's talk a little bit about purpose and inclusion. And you talked a bit about the inclusive mindset with which you all build technology, which I think is phenomenal because it's so important to think about those things from the beginning as opposed to figuring out how to bolt them on. But I want to talk a bit about your organization because you do have this incredibly diverse workforce. And to your point, you are in so many countries. You have people who speak so many different languages, different educational levels, different backgrounds, the ability to take people from different places in the world, in different parts of this country, and create upward mobility and opportunities at Amazon is something I'm sure you all are really proud of. Talk to me about how you all work intentionally to create a diverse workforce, to both attract diverse talent and to grow that talent at Amazon.
You're taking the words out of my mouth where our Chief Inclusive Experience and Technology Officer talks about built-in versus bolt-on. And we're intentional about our goals as a company. I'm particularly proud as a company. So one, it starts with being very specific in goal setting and making it visible and measuring and monitoring and understanding what can we do better, what can we do different, and if there's areas that we're not succeeding, why? What can we learn from it? Again, we want to be a learning organization. The next thing is being intentional with a leadership principle. Again, strive to be Earth's best employer, and our responsibility comes with growth. Leadership principles are real. I said it earlier, they aren't wallpaper where it's nice to talk about. They're embedded in our interview process. They're embedded in our promotion process. They're embedded in our everyday dialogue of how we produce and go about solving customer pain points or being customer obsessed, which is also a leadership principle. How we do it is very intentional, setting goals. And then also we have this sayings where we look at the data, but we also look at the anecdotes. What does the data tell us? But what are people saying to us? I travel quite a bit. I travel around the globe. I travel around the country. I had my last team meeting a few months ago in India. We went to Bangalore to learn from our Bangalore team. How is it that you onboard people with disabilities? How is it that you onboard this group of employees that have autism and they are productive and they just shared with us how they enjoy their work? What is the environment that you've done there that we need to create and copy and scale in other parts of the company? So it's intentionality, it's the words, it's the accountability, and it's the use of our resources. Earlier, we talked a little bit about how we develop and advance our employees. Part of that development also comes from our employee resource groups. We have 14 affinity groups, the LGBT group, the Latina at Amazon, the people with disabilities, the military affairs, the Black Employee Network, a whole host of these groups that have mentoring programs that also surface information to help us understand how we can be better. We celebrate our diversity and we highlight where we're the same, areas that we are different, but we talk about working as a total team together. But that intentionality has to be constantly brought forward and discussed. It's nothing that's on the side. It's a part of what we do. It's built in. It's not bolted on in every aspect of that employee journey, from recruitment all the way to exit, into retention, into the alumni network. How do we learn and how we grow? But it's just woven into everything we do. And we can always continue to get better, but it's intentional.
I'm going to pick up on one thread you talked about, because before we close, I want to talk a bit about trust. You talked about being data-led, but understanding the anecdotes.
That's right.
And that's so important that you have both, right? We can't just listen to anecdotes because gosh knows we'd go into so many different directions. But being data-led and listening to the anecdotes, because one of the things that our data suggests to us is there's still a tremendous trust gap.
Yeah.
There is a gap between what we as employers think our people think about us from a trust perspective and what they actually think about us from a trust perspective. And so what does the data tell us? What does the anecdote tell us? What are people doing on the ground? How are you all thinking about closing that trust gap that so many of us are facing?
Yeah, it's always interesting because I had a leader tell me a long time ago, a slogan that I repeat is, what lives out there works in here. And I'm sure it applies to your workplace.
I like that.
People, when they come to the workplace, their life and what they experience and what they read and see doesn't just disappear. So some of what we see in society, it does show up in the workplace. And we have to help people understand where the boundaries are of what we're in control of and what we aren't in control of. But the things that we are in control of, tremendous change management is important. And it's not just a buzzword. It's real. It's helping me understand people, as you said earlier, taking people along the journey with AI. It's telling people what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, when we're going to do it, why we're going to do it. Giving time for the why. And it takes a lot of time. You have to not be afraid to tell people this is what we're doing and why we're doing it. It may not be a popular answer, but help people understand the why and giving them parameters and the truth behind it. People are going to have to make a decision of how they accept some of those things, but we should be able to look at ourselves as a leadership team and say we gave people the truth. And it aligns again with leadership principles. Amazon has a leadership principle of earn trust. I earn trust by speaking to you. I earn trust by listening to you. I earn trust by telling you. I earn trust by doing what I said I was going to do. I earn trust by recognizing you when you've done something well. I earn trust by correcting you when you've done something incorrect. So it's a never-ending journey. It takes a lot to earn it, but you can lose it very quickly. And you and I'm sure as HR professionals, we know our words matter. How you show up matters. Yeah. Consistency matters because people are watching us and people want to know, does this apply to everybody or does it just apply to me? Mm-hmm. Why is this change happening? When you don't bring clarity to a change and people fill that void themselves, that distracts them from being productive and focusing on the job. Mm-hmm. We have an opportunity to earn that trust, to move the distractions. So when we say we're going to do something and why we're going to do it in the timeline, you know, we know, and we can now focus on other things.
Right.
Because the decision is made.
And you've created the transparency. So you don't have to agree with where we're going.
That's right.
But we're going to be transparent about it. It all comes back to leadership. This entire conversation sort of started with leadership and it ends with leadership, right? Because it's so oftentimes I'll hear someone say, what are you all doing to develop the soft skills at PwC? And I'm like, if you're talking about leadership skills, those are human skills. Those are not soft skills. Those are core skills to the effectiveness of our business. So I love that we came back to that in the end because trust is about leadership. It's about transparency. It's about driving change. It's about showing up and doing what you say you will do for your people. So thank you so much, Ofori.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And congrats on your success as an individual and as a leader and as your company moves us also forward into the next generation of this world and what we can do. So we're all in this thing together. So thank you as well.
Ofori, thank you for joining us today. It's exciting to discuss the role emerging technologies can play in development and growth. And I'm looking forward to seeing these opportunities expand. I also want to thank our listeners for tuning in to another episode of PwC Pulse. You can find more information on these topics and more by visiting pwc.com.
Thank you for joining us on the PwC Pulse podcast. Subscribe to PwC Pulse wherever you listen to your podcasts or visit pwc.com/Pulse podcast to hear our next episodes.
Copyright 2023, PwC. All rights reserved. PwC refers to the PwC network and/or one or more of its member firms, each of which is a separate legal entity. Please see www.pwc.com/structure for further details. This podcast is for general information purposes only and should not be used as a substitute for consultation with professional advisors.